Hello, and welcome to Tales from the Mennonite Heritage Archives, a show about people, places, and events from Mennonite history. I'm your host, Dan Dick. On a shelf among aisles and aisles of shelves in a vault at the Mennonite Heritage Archives is a songbook that dates back to 1902. It's titled Liederperlen, or in English, Song Pearls. The songbook contains a piece of choral music treasured by certain Mennonites. Der Friedensfurst, which translates into English as the Prince of Peace, holds a particularly special place in the hearts of Russian Mennonites who survived the violence and turmoil of the Russian Revolution. So much so that Mennonites who bore the risks and dangers of emigrating to Canada in the 1920s brought the song with them, prompting some of them to think the song originated in Europe. But as we shall see, that isn't the case. It's fitting to focus on this traditional Christmas song on the first week of the new year. Mennonites in Russia more than 125 years ago would have celebrated Christmas Day according to the Julian calendar, which falls on January 7th on our current Gregorian calendar. The German-language version of Der Friedensfurst was originally written in English by Charles E. Leslie, a conductor at song festivals in north-central USA. He produced more than 20 songbooks before his death in 1893. His wife, whom we only know as Mrs. C. E. Leslie, included the Prince of Peace in a songbook titled Leslie's Choral Anthems. Leslie's inspiration for the Prince of Peace comes from Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Up to this point in our story, the song has only been published in English. But then along comes Ernst Karl Magritte. Magritte came to the United States from Pomerania, Germany in 1864. He latches on to the Methodist revival movement among German immigrants to the USA. Magritte becomes a minister in numerous congregations of the Methodists' St. Louis German Conference in Iowa and Illinois. While pastoring in Pekin, Illinois, our friend Ernst translates Leslie's choral anthem into German. For now, the song is still anchored in the USA. But fast forward to Chicago in the 1890s, where we find the brothers George and E. E. Meyer. They include Magritte's German translation of Prince of Peace in a compilation of melodies for church choirs titled Die Palme No. 3. It was published in 1896. Thanks to the brothers Meyer, printing presses, and transatlantic travel, Der Friedensfurst finds its way to Mennonites in Russia and into a volume of hymns called Liederperlen. Liederperlen is a bound book containing previously selected songs. The individual selections were circulated monthly by Isaac Born, a musician in Lichtfelde, a village in the Molochno Mennonite colony in Russia. Isaac describes Liederperlen as, quote, a collection of delightful songs for mixed choirs, unquote. Isaac had been hard at work sharing choral sheet music since 1889 via a singer's journal called Sängerfreunde. Isaac apparently took a liberal attitude toward copyrights, freely producing about 75% of the music in his anthologies without permission. In 1891, Born changed the name of his publication from Sängerfreunde to Liederperlen. In his December 1902 edition of Liederperlen, he introduces Der Friedensfurst to his fellow singing Mennonites, and the song takes hold in the community. The sheet music uses Ziffern notation. It's a system of numbered notes on a staff that was especially useful to teach four-part harmony in choral singing. Though Born originally found the song in Die Palme No. 3, he incorrectly credits the lyrics to Ernst Magritte, who translated the English version into German but did not author the lyrics. Bourne omits the piano accompaniment in his publication of the song. In that era, Mennonite churches in Russia typically didn't use musical instruments in the church sanctuary. Exceptions to the no instruments tradition were made in some smaller villages, where services often took place in the local schoolroom. In the years following the Russian Revolution, local communist leaders often confiscated church buildings or converted them into clubs, theaters, or grain storage facilities. The new communist order forced Mennonites to meet in schools, homes, or barns where instruments to accompany singing became more acceptable. By the end of 1914, Isaac Bourne had published 8 volumes of Liederperlen. The completion of a 9th volume was halted in 1915 due to the First World War, a time when Russian authorities cracked down on German-language publications. All told, Bourne published 985 choral works. And that, in a nutshell, is how a Christmas hymn composed in English in the United States made its way to Russia and then back again to North America. Today, Der Friedensfurst is in the public domain and can be used freely. Der Friedensfurst has since become emblematic of the Christmas season among Mennonites who arrived in Canada in the 1920s. The melody is a rousing hymn, a joy to sing, and lifts the souls of singers and listeners alike. I wonder what it was like to sing and hear the hymn in Russia during the Revolution. This was a time when marauders killed fathers, husbands, and brothers, raped mothers, wives, and daughters. Rebels pillaged and burnt to the ground Mennonite farms and homes. After the Revolution, farms were collectivized and food became more scarce. Did Der Friedensfurst boost the spirits of hungry Mennonites who were forced to hold Christmas services in a cold barn? Perhaps the song offered them hope that a Prince of Peace might one day deliver them from their hardships during a bleak time. The answers to these questions may be lost to history. However, the song story doesn't end there. Der Friedensfurst continues to be sung in churches and at family gatherings at Christmas time. To this day, singing Der Friedensfurst evokes feelings of nostalgia among certain Mennonites. The hymn is often sung at the Courtice Heritage Church in Randolph, Manitoba, when it opens its doors for the Christmas in Courtice festivities. Construction of that church building began in 1896, which makes the church about the same age as the song. Bloggers have written warm reflections about the song's tradition at their family gatherings and churches. Renditions of the song performed by Mennonite choirs in Manitoba and Saskatchewan can be found on YouTube, as well as an arrangement for classical guitar by Ben Kaler, late of Altona. If Der Friedensfurst were a used car, it would be a high-mileage car. In addition to migrating from North America to Europe, the song has also traveled to Paraguay, Uruguay, and Brazil. One wonders what the composer Charles Leslie might have thought about his song breaking out in contemporary flash mob style. That's exactly what happened in 2011, when Mennonite singers in Philadelphia, Paraguay, surprised shoppers with the song at a local store. And the historic European tradition of Der Friedensfurst carries on in a Mennonite congregation in Witmarsum, Netherlands. That can also be found on YouTube. For newcomers to the song, it can be a difficult piece to learn. Steinbach, Manitoba humorist Andrew Unger penned a satirical story about Der Friedensfurst for his website, The Unger Review. The headline? Local Mennonite church becomes first ever to make it all the way through Der Friedensfurst without messing up. To this day, stories circulate that translating the song into English, or changing the font style of the text, were attempts to make it more contemporary for younger generations, without realizing the lyrics were originally composed in English. But for many, including non-German speakers, singing Der Friedensfurst in German is simply a well-loved tradition. To wrap up today's story, Let's listen to Der Friedensfurst as performed by the Silver Winds Youth Choir based at the Silver Winds Hutterite Colony near Sperling, Manitoba. In my imagination, their a cappella version feels authentically close to the way Russian Mennonites might have sung it 100 or more years ago.
Die Engelchöre singen, dir omet der Friedensfest, du Heiland aller Welt. Hört sein Liebling schallen, holt die Freudenlieder, dir omet der Friedensfest. Und ein Hosianna tönt aber den Lieder, dir omet der Friedensfest. Uns ist geboren heut ein Kind, uns ist geboren heut ein Sohn, und seine Herrlichkeit füllet die weite Welt, und er heißt wunderbar, wunderbar, der mächtige Friedensfest. Wunderbar, wunderbar, der mächtige Friedensfest. Drum besingt den Wundersang, im Gebet, drum Gesang, wie erlebt das Herz so gern, Friedensfest, aus preisem Dank. Ehre sei dem Herrn in der Welt, ja, Ehre sei dem Herrn in der Welt, Friede auf der weiten Welt, Gottes Friede auf der Welt. Seid fröhlich alle Völker und singet Freudenlieder, bringt Ehre und Anbetung in den Friedensfürsten dar. Singt Hosianna, Hosianna bringt in Gottes Land. Singt Hosianna, Hosianna bringt in Gottes Land. Seid fröhlich alle Völker und singet Freudenlieder, bringt Ehre und Anbetung in den Friedensfürsten dar. Singt Hosianna, Hosianna bringt in Gottes Land. Singt Hosianna, Hosianna bringt in Gottes Land. Amen. Amen, 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 Amen.
Hi, I'm Conrad Stace, the archivist at the Mennonite Heritage Archives. Thanks to our partners, Canadian Mennonite University, the Centre for Transnational Mennonite Studies, and Mennonite Church Canada. This program is made possible through support from Golden West Radio and listeners like you. To support the program and the work of the archives, visit mharchives.ca and click on Support.
For this episode on Der Friedensfurst, archivist Conrad Stace pointed me in the direction of two Peters. Thanks to Peter H. Rempel for his research and writing about the song. Peter Letkeman's work in the Saskatchewan Mennonite Historian also contributed to this episode. Thanks to Chris Sumner and Zach Dreger of Golden West for finding the song by Silver Winds Youth Choir, and to the Silver Winds folks for their lovely rendition. I'm your host, Dan Dick. Tales from the Mennonite Heritage Archives will return next week with more stories about people, places, and events from Mennonite history. Until then, thanks for listening.